You said it, I'm going to quote you here. Gender dysphoria is listed in the DSM. Maybe it shouldn't be, but as of now, gender dysphoria itself is a mental illness. Maybe we'll look back and say that it shouldn't have been. Still stand by that statement.
Yeah, the DSM-5 lists gender dysphoria as a mental illness. Yeah, they changed it from gender identity disorder to gender dysphoria partly because that would make it sound less stigmatizing or whatever, but it's listed alongside all the now
it's not listed as a mental illness though. I mean, to do that is something that right wingers do. I think specifically to be able to, again, like you just mentioned, stigmatize trans people, but it's not listed as a mental illness. That's a factually incorrect statement to make. It's not. And the DSM so in the DSM-5, gender dysphoria is listed as a mental disorder that can arise as a result of extreme stress or distress that comes from one's own gender identity not lining up with what they were.
You just said it's listed as a mental disorder.
No. See, the wording here is very tricky and important. And so it can be diagnosed as a mental disorder, gender dysphoria specifically, and this is not done to stigmatize trans people. It specifically does not list trans people or non-binary people as having a mental illness.
Sorry, hold on. Why is it stigmatizing to have a mental illness?
It's stigmatizing to say that trans people, or being trans by definition, is itself just a mental illness. This is what right-wingers are consistently doing. Tim Pool has himself tweeted that out.
But being trans is not the same as having gender dysphoria anyway.
It's not. I just want to but that's why it's important. Yeah, but it's important to actually identify these things, whether or not they're correct. And again, it lists experiencing gender dysphoria as a mental disorder. So that's different than your statement. Both statements that you made so far.
So I feel like you told me, do you stand by this? I said yes. And then you said, no, you're wrong. And then you read me something that just echoed back what I just said. I might need more caffeine, but you got to explain this to me.
So
you're saying it's
so first off, it's not mental illness. It's a mental disorder, right?
Okay.
We're distinguishing between those two. And then secondly, it's not by definition, if you are trans or if you are non-binary, you have a mental disorder either, because that's not what the DSM. No, I know, but that's what the implication of that sentence and you then doubling down on it means.
You asked if gender dysphoria in the DSM.
I didn't ask anything. I read you a quote of yourself that you had said out loud, and I said, do you still stand by that? Even though it's factually incorrect.